Alright guys, welcome to the next video of the Advanced 2 section. And so we've spoken on momentum and volume and just what they are, and how they can benefit you in their own separate ways. So now we want to correlate both and use the ideology or the logic from both to help us with quote-unquote sniper entries, right? I don't like calling them that. It's just called an entry. That's all it is to me. And these two concepts really help me basically with my win rate when it comes to zooming in and price action. Whereas if I didn't do this, you're more than likely guessing on whether or not a specific SC or inefficiency is correct or not. So now it's just a matter of correlating them two in the smaller time frames M1, M2, M3, etc., etc., etc. So let's get right into the first example, or the only example. Sorry about that. So here we are, EURUSD 30-minute, and what we see here is pretty basic. It's continuation trade because there was a previous accumulation setup, and section 3 of the course is dedicated to section 3 of the advanced course is dedicated to Wyckoff. So just don't worry about that just yet. But we know trend is to the upside, so this is only a continuation, right? So as we see, there's inefficient pricing here, and we get a perfect reaction from 50% of that, and then get TP1, which is the previous swing high, at 100 pips, right? So now how would you, so we see the trade. We know exactly why this went in the direction that it went, but how exactly do you get the entry? Well, this is where we zoom in, and this is the importance of understanding volume and momentum, right? So we're looking at this here, right? And notice, right, that we have a reaction into that 50% of the inefficiency, and we also have the re-entry. So you could have easily just put a limit at the 50%, and then just have like a 6-7 pip stop, and then just that goes on to be like a 13-14 to 1 trade. But you can minimize that a little better. You can get a better, maybe not a better entry, but you get a better RR if you wait and you zoom in into smaller time frames, right? And so notice here, right, in this first shaded region, there is a ton of bearish volume, as you can see here. And then as soon as you see that, you see one last push to the downside. But notice there is a smaller amount of volume than it was here. And these candles are carrying quite a bit of momentum, right? So what you got to understand here is this is called volume divergence, right? Even though price is continuing lower, there's no volume supporting that move, and it's significantly less than before. So that's creating an unsustainability that price cannot continue lower, which is why that caused a reaction to the upside. And luckily here, that broke a previous scalp high, right? So once we broke that scalp high, now we look for the conservative entry, and that's the point of this red line here. Whereas you could have either placed a limit now on this SE here, or you could have just waited there until it got there, execution anywhere from 5 to 5.5 pips, stop. But even though you could have still put your stop loss at the closure of the body, but since it's the 1 minute time frame, I'd rather be safe and actually just use the whole candle. So as you can see now, this is where you got the real reaction to the upside, right? And let's say you missed that, all right? Let's say you missed that. We get to potential entry number 2, and in here we see, right, that second entry left an SC, and as you can see, you see indecision, and then you see one final push down before reaction higher, right? We see a push down and then an engulfing candle, which is a good sign that price is wanting to reverse, right? And not only that, but now we have essentially created a higher low here, right? So we had a higher high and a higher low, so now we should expect that impulsive move to the upside, right? But obviously orders have to be mitigated, and it took a lot for price to shoot down before reacting up. So price came back down to that 50% of that SC, and then that was the real entry, right? And this one had the most, the smallest stop loss, the smallest stop loss in comparison to entry 1 and entry 2, right? And not only that, but this SC had no supporting volume, right? Price is continuing lower, but volume is also continuing lower. That doesn't make sense, right? That's what creates that unsustainability that we're talking about. And so, as you can see, we got the reaction 50%, 3 pips stop loss, and now that's when that goes. So let's say you catch relatively 95 pips off of that rounded to 96. That's a 32 to 1 trade, right? So it pays to be patient, but it also pays to know what you're talking about. So just make sure you're doing both. You're patient and you understand the concepts fully, because this is how you reach that next level of, mastery of price action and mastery of just even win rate. If you understand your rules, you'll rarely lose. So yeah, guys, just rewatch this video and make sure you really understand what it means when price is doing one thing, but momentum and volume are showing you another, because you want that divergence to create unsustainability in price, and that's what's going to cause that reversal, right? So even though this is a reversal on smaller time frames, we're actually continuing trend on higher time frames, right? So it's all about making it all make sense, right? So yeah, guys,